Story 1. When I was 10, Grandma moved in with us 6 months after Grandpa died. Mom protested a little, but Dad insisted. That big old house was too lonely for her. I was thrilled. Grandma was loud, fun, and always slipping me boiled sweets. She was my fiercest defender when I got into trouble. But best of all were her stories. World War II adventures, funny tales from her evacuation to the South Coast, and especially her scary stories. She claimed she'd dabbled in the occult as a teen, Ouija boards, tarot, all that. Most I laughed off, but a couple truly spooked me. Grandma knew how to make them real. She'd kill the lights, lean in close under the moonlight, her deep blue eyes locking onto mine, the scent of sweets on her breath. I got nightmares, sure, but years later, only one story stuck: the shower and Mr. Longfingers. It started when I asked why she took such long, candlelit baths instead of showers. She grew serious, shuffling closer on my bed. For people like me, sensitive, showers are too risky, she whispered, unsmiling. My heart picked up. Risky? I asked. Only if you close your eyes, she said, her gaze drifting to the window for effect. Longer than 10 seconds. She compared it to the playground game where you sneak up on someone who isn't looking. That's what it's like in the shower when your eyes are closed. That's what it's like with Mr. Longfingers. A cold itch crawled down my spine. Who's Mr. Longfingers? Grandma lowered her voice, almost regretful. No one knows. Some say he's drawn to the heat and smell. Others say he's a demon slipping through the steam. The ones who've seen him can't tell you. She leaned in, leaving my fearful why not hanging. Don't worry, sweetheart. Just remember the rules. 5 seconds eyes closed is fine. 10 is just about okay. But longer. She paused. Longer, and you might feel something watching. Longer than 15 seconds. Grandma visited me the next night. No stories this time. Moonlight lit her sad, wrinkled face. You know I'd never let anything bad happen to you? I nodded. Good, she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. Maybe your mom's right. Maybe I went too far. She paused. But I'll make sure you're safe. I'll scare Mr. Longfingers off. He won't come back facing me. A week later, I woke early to a heavy thumping sound. Silence, then the rush of the shower. Terror seized me. I bolted down the hall, banging on the locked bathroom door, screaming Grandma. My parents stirred, but before they reached me, the unlocked handle gave way. Steam billowed out. I squinted inside. Before Dad shoved me aside, before the shouting and chaos began, I saw her. Grandma lay naked on the shower floor, water pounding down. Her blue eyes bulged. One hand was curled like a dead bird on her chest. The other trailed against the steamed glass, finger marks carved clear and fresh through the condensation. Dad said it was a quick, painless heart attack. Grandma was old, but even at 10, I knew better. And now, as an adult, I still know. My family humors my refusal to shower, insisting everyone takes baths. My wife thinks it's trauma from finding Grandma. She's partly right, but she doesn't know the full truth. No one does. No one would believe me if I told them my shower phobia isn't about seeing a dead body. It's because, years ago, after the paramedics took Grandma away, I crept back into that steamy bathroom. I needed to see those finger marks on the glass clearly. Not from the inside, where Grandma lay. From the outside, where Mr. Longfingers stood. Story 2. Just before my dad passed, he shared a story from Vietnam he'd kept buried for decades. It was the 1960s. He and another American advisor were leading 5 CDG strikers, South Vietnamese villagers turned fighters, deep into enemy territory. Their mission, plant seismic ground sensors along a remote jungle trail network. About 2 days in, Dad and two strikers split off to surveil a trail intersection. The jungle was unnervingly quiet that afternoon, just birdsong, insect hum, and the distant cry of a monkey. They'd been watching the crossroads for 3 or 4 hours, debating whether to push further or turn back to link up with the main patrol. Decision made, Dad prepped his men to move. He took one last scan down the trail before stepping out of the brush. That's when he saw him. Dad told this next part with absolute, dead seriousness. Just as his boot was about to touch the dirt path, his eyes locked onto a figure lying prone alongside the trail, maybe 20 yards shy of the intersection. It was a light-skinned black man, dressed in the unmistakable, weathered blue wool of a Union cavalry soldier. Full battle gear. The man had 2 pistols holstered, a Spencer rifle cradled in his arms, and a short, curved war club hanging at his hip. Dad froze, mind reeling. What the hell is a Civil War soldier doing here? Before he could process the impossible sight, the soldier looked directly at him, not with alarm, but with a calm, knowing intensity. Then, slowly, deliberately, the soldier raised a finger to his lips. Shoo! He held Dad's gaze for a heartbeat, then gestured firmly, back off the trail. Now, Dad didn't hesitate. He signaled urgently to his confused strikers, stay hidden, stay silent. He melted back into the dense jungle on their side. As he did, he saw the Union soldier do the same on the opposite side, vanishing into the green gloom like smoke. Less than 10 seconds later, the lead element of an NVA company marched into view. Dad watched, heart hammering against his ribs, as 30, 50, maybe 70 or 80 North Vietnamese Army soldiers, armed with AKs, RPD machine guns, RPGs, moved with disciplined silence right through the intersection they'd almost walked into. They were that close. 30 feet. Dad knew with cold certainty. If they'd stepped onto that trail moments earlier, his tiny team would have been obliterated instantly. No contest. As soon as the last NVA soldier disappeared down the trail, Dad and his men moved. Fast and quiet. They beat feet back to the main patrol like ghosts. He reported the large enemy force. Of course, that was critical intel. But the Union soldier? He buried that deep. It became a secret he carried for decades. He only told 2 people. First, his grandmother on her deathbed in the 1970s. When he described the impossible soldier, she'd smiled, eyes still closed, and whispered, "You saw old Red Tom." And then, finally, just before he left us, he told me, "Red Tom, my great-great-grandfather, a half-black, half-Creek freedman, a scout for the Union Army, later, a cavalry trooper out west, known for carrying 2 pistols, a Spencer rifle, and a Creek War club into battle." Exactly what Dad saw lying beside that trail in the Vietnamese jungle, a century later, keeping watch over his blood. Story 3. Back in the days before cell phones ruled the world, we lived by the beep. Pagers, strapped right to your hip. As an on-call audio-visual tech, mine buzzed constantly. Hotels, conference centers, always needing a projector fixed or a mic unmuted. Most pages were just a callback number, but if someone tagged it with 911, that meant drop everything and call now. Emergencies only. I ran ragged, but true 911s? Rare as hell. So when my pager screamed that urgent code one afternoon, halfway between Orlando and St. Pete on I-4, it got my full attention. A number I didn't recognize, followed by those 3 stark digits. 911. Adrenaline spiked. I scanned the highway, spotted the next exit, some nowhere place outside Plant City, and peeled off, tires crunching gravel as I pulled into a dusty truck stop. 3 minutes flat. Inside, the air smelled of stale coffee and diesel. I slapped $1 on the counter for quarters, mumbled payphone to the bored girl working the register, and beeline for the row of 4 grimy phones bolted to the far wall. Heart still thumping, I jammed a quarter into slot number 1, lifted the heavy receiver, and dialed the mystery number from my pager. Ring, 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 ring. Nothing. Just the empty, echoing ringtone in my ear. Frustration warred with confusion. Who the hell pages a 911 and doesn't answer? I leaned my forehead against the cool metal frame of the booth, listening to that relentless ringing. That's when I heard it. Another ring. Faint, but distinct. Not in my ear. Outside the receiver. I pulled the handset away. The ringing in my ear stopped. But the other sound, it continued. Clearer now. A sharp, metallic jangle. Ring, ring, ring. It was coming from 2 payphones down. Booth number 3. Ringing for an incoming call. Ice water flooded my veins. Slowly, numbly, I hung up my receiver. The ringing on phone number 3 stopped dead. Silence slammed back into the truck stop, thick and heavy. I walked the 3 steps like I was wading through mud. Stared at the number printed above the keypad on phone number 3. Looked down at my pager. Back to the phone. Back to the pager. Back to the phone. Except for the 911 suffix. They were identical. The air left my lungs in a whoosh. The fluorescent lights overhead seemed to buzz louder, the shadows in the corners deepening. I stumbled back to the counter, voice tight. Did you see anyone use that payphone? The 3rd one. The girl blinked, chewing gum slowly. Nah, you're the only one been in here for like an hour. Her disinterest was terrifying. 15 minutes total. That's all it took. But I was out of there in 60 seconds flat, the skin on my neck prickling, every hair standing rigid. The truck stop felt suddenly suffocating, wrong. I hit I-4 again, foot heavy on the gas, trying to shake the creeping dread. 10 miles down the road, traffic snarled to a halt. Flashing red and blue lights painted the twilight. As I crept forward, the scene unfolded like a nightmare. Twisted metal screaming, glass glittering like malignant confetti. A 4-car pileup, tangled with a jackknifed tractor trailer. Steel beams, its spilled cargo, speared through car roofs, lay scattered like monstrous pickup sticks. State troopers were just arriving, paramedics sprinting towards the wreckage. I pulled over, helped where I could, but it was mostly grim tria. The violence of the impact was absolute. Standing there on the asphalt, smelling gasoline and burnt rubber, the truth hit me harder than any wreck. That phantom 911 page. That impossible call to the payphone I was standing at. It wasn't a prank. It wasn't a mistake. It was a warning. A hard, cold shove off the highway at exactly the right moment. If I hadn't gotten that page, if I hadn't spent those 15 minutes chasing a ghost call in a dusty truck stop, I'd have been right there, in the heart of that metal carnage. I have no idea who sent it, or what sent it, but I know one thing. That pager didn't just beep that day. It screamed me back from the edge.